Welcome to the first of our Mile Deep micropods. So this is where I'm going to go a mile deep into one of the questions or one of the statements on the scorecard. Now, if you're listening to this podcast, it will be of service to you to go and do the scorecard that you'll always find in the comments or the episode descriptions. Because what this is going to do, it's going to assess which one of the 5 areas you need to work on in order to go 10x in your work or your life. In order to go a mile deep, you have to have these 5 steps in place. And one of the steps is vision. Now, when I ask someone about their vision, one of the things I always ask is, do you have an impossible goal? And we're going to talk about impossible goals on this micropod today. And what I want to establish for you is like a real understanding about why you need an impossible goal. And second of all, what one is, because if you, it sounds almost kind of pointless, like having an impossible goal means a goal that you'll never achieve. And if you think about that, it sounds ridiculous, like, hey, have a goal that you'll never hit. However, that is not the purpose of an impossible goal. And I think what happens is that we misunderstand what it means. An impossible goal is a North Star in the sky. It's a North Star that keeps you on the right track into becoming who you're capable of being. It guides you forwards. It's something to call you forwards moment to moment to moment. Now, I've mentioned this in many podcasts, and I think it's so important. I'm going to say it again. Abraham Maslow said, what one can be, one must be. And when you have a North Star in the sky, where you're constantly becoming what you're capable of being, you're always going to produce mental fortitude. You're going to be psychologically well because you're always choosing the uncomfortable decision to move forwards. Because in any given moment, we're making one of 2 decisions. We can move forward towards our North Star and do the hard things that makes our life better, or we can move back towards comfort in the moment, albeit it might make our life a little bit comfortable. In the long term, it makes us psychologically unwell. It gives us anxiety, depression, frustration, God, heaven forbid, suicidal ideation. When someone has made comfortable decision after comfortable decision, they're not comfortable. They're very, very uncomfortable. And so what we want to make sure, and I actually did a workshop on this, which was called Why People Need an Impossible Goal for Long-Term Psychological Wellness. And it's because it gives you purpose. So an impossible goal is only impossible in your current state. And now, when I first started in personal transformation, when I was 16 years old, running beach training sessions for my buddies, the thought of running a multi-6-figure company was impossible to me in my current state. And so what we've got to be mindful and cognizant of is an impossible goal will be impossible in your current state. But we set that impossible goal to become the person who is capable of achieving that impossible goal. Now, what I want to really share with you that these can come in different formats as well. It's not necessarily just in business or money. Now, when I got divorced at the age of 30, the thought of having the family that I have now with 2 beautiful children, a loving partner, and that seemed impossible for me. And part of my therapy, part of my growth as a man was setting that goal of one day I want to be happily married again with a beautiful family. And for anyone who's listened to this podcast and if you've been divorced or you've had a relationship breakdown, is that it feels impossible in that moment. Now, if you're listening to that and you've just been through that, you'll know exactly how I felt and how you feel right now. It seems impossible to have that depth of connection when you've just been betrayed or let down or hurt, or you've hurt someone and you feel shame. It feels impossible to have that goal. But one of the things that I said to my men's group at the time is like, I want to be able to propose to the woman of my dreams, mean it, and wants to create marriage at some point in the future. And, if you follow my journey, I got married in Santorini this summer, the summer I record this podcast. So it was a huge transformation for me. It was an impossible goal, which I achieved 7 years later. So an impossible goal forces a shift in being. Now, if you listen to the previous podcast, you'll hear Hina was talking about this, that she saw serving that many people. She saw serving hundreds of people, having the impact that she wanted to have in the way she wanted to have it, as impossible, using the model that she had become an expert in, which was therapy, psychotherapy. And she said that she had to let go, had to shed the identity of a psychotherapist and embody that of a coach in order to get to where she wanted to be. She became better. And one of the things that we sometimes do have to do, we have to let go of some of the thinking that got us to where we are now. Now, what got you here won't get you there. And this is a big part of having an impossible goal. Not only does it force you to embody higher level consciousness and better ways of thinking and leading and managing and connecting with people around you, it also forces you to let go of some of the things that don't serve you in the pursuit of this impossible goal. Now, this, for example, might be that you are a leader who likes to be in control. You like to do all the things. You like to be the center of the control of decision making and all that sort of stuff. And that might have got you to a 6-figure company, maybe even a 7-figure company. But that will not get you to an 8, 9, and 10-figure company. And that's the difference that we need to shed. And it's an impossible goal which does this. So what an impossible goal is there to do, it's there to continually call you to the best version of yourself. Now, what you often find is that people will have what I would call like A-type goals and B-type goals. So an A-type goal is something that you've done before. So you say to yourself, I want to lose 2 stone by February. Well, technically an A-type goal is you've probably done that in the past. Oh yeah, I want to get back down to X stone. And what that shows is that you're setting a goal that you've achieved before. Now, these kind of goals, I kind of call sort your shit out goals. If I just sort my stuff out, get myself on point, eat well, train, and stay on track, I'm going to hit that goal. But A-type goals, albeit they are important and you should have them, and they are, they shouldn't be your main focus. You've got your B-type goals, and these are goals that will just about stretch you. So, for example, you might have hit your first 5 or 6 or 7-figure month, and a B-type goal would be to do that repeatedly. I want to do it 3 months in a row. Because often what I find, especially in the coaching space, is someone has had a high-level month and they've shrunk. So they've hit a £20,000 month, a £30,000 month, a £100,000 month. And then what's happened is they've shrunk away from that. So the goal for them then is to be consistent at that high level. But then you have C-type goals or impossible goals. These are goals so big that unless God himself or some divine intervention is not involved, you're surely to fail. Now, what this means is that this is going to continually force you to think on the upper echelons of your capability, your business's capability, your team's capability. It's rethinking sometimes even the way that you're doing business, that you're doing life, you're doing fitness. And it's a really nice moment. And I actually speaking with Poppy the other day, and I sat down and I said to her, I can't see the way that I'm currently using to get this result working. And it was a really nice moment. I thought it was a moment of defeat, and it wasn't. It was an absolute moment of, if I want to achieve this impossible goal, I'm going to have to rethink my strategy. And having done that and come back to that, I was like, I felt so empowered. Now, on the way to achieve your impossible goal, you're going to have many moments like that, where your current strategy just doesn't fit the size of the goal, and you have to shed that strategy very quickly, and that identity, so self and strategy. So what I'm inviting you to do is think about Have you got an impossible goal, a North Star in the sky, which is going to keep you directionally correct as you ascend through your personal success journey? Now, if you've listened to this podcast and you've enjoyed thinking about this and you want some scaffolding to think and do some work on this, all you need to do is head on into the school group, which is attached to this podcast. In the comment section, the episode description, there's a link to my school, which is free. Now, if you click on the podcast, which says, I have an impossible goal, there will be 2 worksheets that I've used with paying clients before that will help you start to think in a way that is going to find your impossible goal. I want to give you them complimentary because I believe it's so important for you to get the right support when you want to create your impossible goal. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you on the next podcast.